Yeah.
And I met everybody. Really had a hello to Harry Kane and Eric. Had a little chat with. So yeah, it was obviously that's a highlight. But
Did you get to meet Antonio?
No, he wasn't there. No one from the management team were there.
Oh, okay.
Which is a bit, I would have expected him to be there. It was really quite
Yeah,
nice. But,
yeah.
I was quite close to him when he was sat next to the tunnel. We had good seats for the open training session. We were right next to him. We can sort of gauge what he was up to then, but didn't really get near him otherwise. But yeah, to get access to the players like that was fantastic. And Ledley King had a Legends evening for the supporters clubs on the Friday night, so it was nice to meet him.
Yeah.
It's a rare occasion that you can meet so many players at once and have that access.
Oh yeah, I guess it must be. Yeah, it's the only way to do it, I guess, on these tours, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I noticed in the Seville game was there were obviously more, or there seemed to be more actual kind of travelling Spurs fans there singing Spurs songs, and presumably you were in that crowd, weren't you? So,
believe it or not, that was two guys.
Was it two guys?
Two guys that were setting it off.
Was it really two?
You could hear. Yeah. So at C1, believe it or not, they had a banner that they took around, a big white banner you might have seen on Sally.
Yeah.
But there was two guys setting it off, who were season ticket holders in a south stand, and you could hear them above everybody else, and they were just on the lower tier.
Amazing.
They sat next to me in the first game, and they were doing exactly the same. And there was only a couple of us that travelled out, maybe 6 that we saw.
Okay.
So, and they
it just sounded like there was about 100 Spurs, traveling Spurs fans.
Two Spurs fans from very enthusiastic Koreans around them. So
right, okay, joining in. Brilliant. It's brilliant. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty amazing.
And to top it all, Harry Kane scored a free kick.
A deflected free kick.
Yeah.
If only it was directly in.
That's right, yeah.
Because Kulisevsky has already had a bit of a dig at him, hasn't he, in this pre-season? So, that was quite interesting that he actually took the free kick.
Did you go to that little PA thing that they did? Must have been a question and answer session. Was it Korean TV or?
Yeah, no, there was because a lot of it was sponsored by Coupang, which is the equivalent of sort of a delivery service over in Korea. So there was lots of events that we couldn't get to. There were corporate events. We managed to fit quite a lot in around the supporters club stuff, like Legends evenings and open training session and the tickets to the matches, and a few other bits. But Coupang pretty much had the dominance of what they did that week, and you see a lot of the training sessions with the kids and stuff like that was all sponsored by that company. So, but we had great access, but obviously they had the most access. To be fair,
yeah. Okay. So, after you got back from Korea, did you then go up to Glasgow, or have you just stayed?
It was nice to get home for a couple of days. I was actually booked into Chatham, believe it or not. I'm ex-military Royal Engineers. The Royal Engineers were playing supposed to play the Rangers Legends at Chatham.
Oh, really?
Organised quite a while ago.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that got cancelled in the end, so we just ended up going to Chatham and catching up with the scoreline as we had a few beers down by the Medway. So.
Oh right, yeah, I know that area actually. I used to do some work for Medway Council, so I know that.
The Command House, very nice.
Yeah,
summer's day.
Nice, yeah, lovely. So, what do we all think of the few players that we've got in? Have we seen enough of them yet, or has it been more of a fleeting kind of view of them? Steve.
Sorry, my mouth was going, and nothing was coming out, but which is probably a better thing. But I mean, I think you probably combine that in, Andy, with the Rangers game, because it's everyone's kind of, well, not everyone, but we've got players in now, and everyone's back like from Korea and stuff, and it was a big game, or a serious game, but they announced the lineup. And it was just like, it was like last season's starting 11. Like, there's no new faces in there at all. And I expected to see at least maybe one or two in there, and so that we had have an idea of what Conte may be thinking. If there's, I know obviously it's about managing the players' time, but there's also, I think, around you should be looking at trying to test out these maybe partnerships and stuff that you might want to see. So I thought it was quite interesting that it was just like, right, okay, this is the structured 11, and it kind of felt like, although there's a structure to it, we want to win the game, and therefore the best chance of winning the game is to go with that that sort of settled system of players that would be used to how Conte wants us to play. Yeah, and then just drip feed players in.
I agree, Steve. I think to be honest, I would not be surprised if that is pretty much the lineup for the first game of the season. I think you're right. Yeah. Maybe Perisic, because I'm really impressed when he came on. You can see what he's going to bring to the game. But I would be, I'd be reasonably confident that'll be the starting lineup, and then their players off the bench will be used to change it. Maybe they'll start coming in at certain points. I think. Because Basuma didn't start, did he? Came on in the second half of that game. Again, I think it'll be a few games before he becomes like a regular, and they'll just sort of phase him in. But he's just oozes class, doesn't he? You can see already. I think he's going to get in the team and then be very, very difficult to shift out of the team.
Yeah, I'd like to have seen him playing alongside Højbjerg, alongside Bentancur rather than alongside Højbjerg, to be honest, because I felt that you kind of feel that Basuma and Højbjerg will do the same job, and therefore you want to see him alongside Bentancur and see if they can sort of have a similar sort of partnership or effect that Højbjerg and Bentancur have managed to sort of strike up, towards the end of last season.
It was interesting to see that, because we were debating, weren't we, in the last season's pods about where a player like that would fit in terms of, would it be for a Skip or a Højbjerg, or would it be in place of Bentancur, where he was swapped out for Bentancur for this? I don't know whether that's the interchangeable position for those two. But I would definitely agree with you, Steve. I think I'd like to see him play with Bentancur, and I think those two would be unbelievable together.
Yeah.
The one I took from the starting lineup was not looking at the starting lineup, but obviously because it was fairly consistent with what we saw at the back end of last season. But looking at the subs bench, you've got Richarlison. Suddenly you're looking at the bench and thinking, Christ, we've got real strength and depth now.
Yeah.
This is the big thing, right? Because we were talking again. A lot of people have been saying this over on Twitter, and people have been talking about the idea that when we sold Bale, we bought the Beatles, didn't we? That kind of, where they were saying that those buys weren't that fantastic. A couple of them were okay. This is completely different. We're not replacing our best player with a load of make weights. We're actually increasing the quality. We've kept the best players and added to the quality and depth of the squad. So it's a very different feel about this one. And I think, you look at those players on the bench and now you go, well, any of those come on, they'll do a great job. You're not worried. There's real quality and depth now. And of course, I still think that we'll add again, and I wouldn't be surprised if we add, some significant quality.
So who do you think we will add? What have you heard?
I've not heard anything, but I still think there's a central defender or a creative midfielder. I know Alistair Gold is talking about their club is looking at a creative midfielder. Yeah. But when you look at the money that we have available to us, considering what we probably will get back, because I think the next couple of weeks will be about who goes out, and that's going to then generate the resources. I think towards the end of that window, then you're going to be looking at, hopefully there might be some push, some give in that transfer market and then we might be able to strike if the right one comes along. And I wouldn't be surprised if we went for a top quality creative midfielder. But if it was me, I still think we need that left-sided defender. and I would go all out for Guardiola, all out.
Do you think that Ben Davies isn't quite good enough?
No, I think he's very good. I mean, obviously, the fact that we signed him, on another deal today is testament to that. But I do think that he, would be, if we got someone like him, would be an excellent squad player and come in for certain games. But Guardiola's another step up, and he's 20, maybe 21, isn't he? And he's going to be the future. If you could get someone like that, that would be such a statement. And what a back three that would be.
I must admit, I've heard a lot about this guy, but I don't know much about him, to be fair. I've seen a few YouTube clips and stuff, but whether he's better than Ben Davies, I've got no idea, really.
What's our thinking of how Richarlison's started? I'm assuming that, hope not concerned that he hasn't scored yet, because there's been a lot of, obviously, I know it's one of the points to discuss, but a lot of noise from Arsenal around their signings compared to our signings. Certainly Jesus to Richarlison and who's going to score more, and Sky picked up on it and rolled with it, even though Jesus is going to be their main striker, and we've still got our main striker, so that should be the
exactly.
That should be the comparison. But yeah, what are people's thoughts on him?
Yeah, Jase, what do you think? What's your views on the market so far, and who could we possibly be bringing in on top of what we already have?
I think we've always gone for that. We've always wanted that creative midfielder to replace Eriksen. So we always feel that we've got that piece missing of the puzzle. But we've got so much creativity on the wings at the moment because of Zevski and Perisic in that second half. Putting balls and then linking up really well. So do we really need that? They're going to drop into the centre at some point and be able to put the ball through the Son and Kane, or open up a defence. So maybe that's not the piece that we need. It's the defence, really.
Yes.
Ben Davies is potentially, he came off injured in the training. He came off injured in the matches, even though he signed a 3-year contract today, an extension. He's not really. Yeah, we need someone to replace him on the left-hand side.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, in terms of depth, if someone's going to get injured or have repeated injuries, then we need to have that cover, don't we? But of course, we've got Lenglet who can actually play that left position. But is he right for that position, or is he more of a Dyer type player, more of a ball distributor rather than a hard tackling centre back?
I don't think we'll know until he's tested properly. But what impressed me most about the second game was using Lucas Moura as a wing back.
Did you think that worked? Yeah, from what you saw.
I mean, from our point of view, it worked, and it was the sort of talking point of the second match, really. Yeah. But as far as the signing goes, we talk about Brian Hill and we talk about Richarlison, where Brian Hill can run. Richarlison can put the ball in the back of the net, and certainly during the training session, he was banging them in where Hill was missing him left, right, and Chelsea. So
really,
he just couldn't put a ball in the back of the net.
Yeah,
and Richarlison is a big, strong lad. He's got some skill about him, and already he's linking up well with Son and Kane.
Yeah,
and I think he could be that. Sorry, Jase. He could be that player as well. That that creative player that would be the one that breaks down those low blocks. With Carlson coming on for to change the game up, I think he would be an excellent choice for that. I fully agree, Jase. I think the person that we really should be looking at is that left-sided midfielder, and I suspect we won't know until the season's well underway. But I suspect that Lenglet will be a backup to Davies. But we won't know, will we, until it gets underway and see how technically gifted. One of the things that apparently some people have said about Lenglet is that actually he's really good at getting away at quite quickly at the beginning to start attacks off. So. So that's what I hear. I don't know. Well. Yeah, so I don't know whether that will be a factor, but there's a lot to be excited about. I mean, I'm sure the same for you guys, but this really is the most excited I've been about the start of a season for years. Yeah, it really does feel like a different vibe about this. or for it.
Yeah, it's
flat on
weird,
its
isn't
arse.
it? Everything seems to be in place at the moment. So
It does,
we
yeah.
seem to have the right manager. We seem to have the